Usually we're very lighthearted and fun, but we're going a little bit darker today because we found something that just couldn't be ignored.
Did you know that suicide is the second leading cause of death for kids ages 10 to 14? This is something that needs to be addressed and talked about.
Heartbreaking. So our guests today, we brought them on to shine a light on this dark subject. They're going to talk about resources. They're going to talk about warning signs, helpful ways to start those tough conversations.
Yeah, if you have teens or tweens in your life, you don't want to miss it. And if you know someone else who does, make sure to share this and maybe tag them. We can make a change by being the change. Let's talk about it.
Hey, it all starts with a conversation.
Welcome to Rocket City Momentum, where we capture the energy of Huntsville. Each week, we're diving into the coolest stories, hottest trends, and exploring the unique neighborhoods that make our city shine. From inspiring conversations with local trailblazers to uncovering hidden gems, we're here to celebrate what makes Rocket City so special. So buckle up, Rocket City. It's time to feel the momentum.
To kick things off, we hit the streets to ask locals, what's the most important thing that you want your children to believe about themselves? Our core beliefs, they form everything that we do. So let's hear what the community has to say about it.
What's the most important thing you want your children to believe about themselves?
That they are loved and that they are enough.
They know that they are created in the image of God.
They're significant.
That's a good one.
And that there is nothing free in this world.
Accomplish anything they've set their mind to.
High self-esteem and that anything's possible.
I don't want to ever to give up.
They're confident about their discernment.
I'm very blessed with an opportunity to grow up and learn about God and what the opportunity of life they have.
Understanding, reading the room.
That there isn't anything that they're unable to do.
It is okay to be who they are, no matter what anyone says or thinks about them.
They should never change for anyone.
Be 100% okay with that.
Developing relationships with others.
Really, the sky's the limit for them, and whatever they set their mind to, that they'll be able to accomplish in life.
That they are perfect just the way they are.
Keep trucking, and I think great things will happen.
Next up, we talked to someone that really needs no introduction in Huntsville, the Joe Martin. And he shared something so powerful that it literally is changing the way that I think about dealing with bullies and how I'm going to coach my children. So we talked about how to help kids build resilience and stay strong in the face of challenges.
Hey guys, welcome back, Rocket City. So excited to have Joe Martin, the Joe Martin, on the show with us today. All right, so I've got the accolades. We are the owner of Relentless Positivity Fitness, author of 2 books, Relentless Positivity and You're Not Who You're Going to Be, Raising Confident, Resilient, and Empathetic Kids, a guide for ages 10 to 14, as well as the host of the Relentless Positivity podcast and newest venture, Huntsville Hustlers podcast. You busy guy.
What is?
I'm sorry,
how did you make that
spike.
noise? You know?
That was nice. Right?
You got a lot going on.
Yeah. A little bit of ADD, like most business owners, I think. You kind of want to get your fingers in a lot of different things over there. So I'd like to stay busy. I don't sleep like you guys, probably. I think it's
Sleep consultant totally sleeps here.
I don't sleep. I mean, I do. I don't sleep well.
I sleep hard when I go. I'm
out.
pretty good at it. I just
We'll
need to get
talk
more.
about it, you know.
I get up at 4 o'clock. It's tough to
Yeah.
get enough sleep.
Yeah.
What time do you go to bed for getting up at 4?
The idea is 9. Usually,
The idea.
the closer to 10, usually.
The idea.
9:30,
Right, yeah.
10 o'clock. Yeah.
Don't tell the
Don't
sleep
tell
consultant.
us- yeah, I know.
Don't
She's
tell
already
the sleep
stressed out about it.
consultant.
Yeah.
All right, well, so you've got a lot going on, and today we're focusing on this amazing new book, You're Not Who You're Going to Be. Tell us what kind of brought this about.
So I got the opportunity to preach a sermon.
Okay.
I am not a preacher. but
you do
they
so
were
good at preaching.
They were desperate, I guess. They called 50 other people and they said no one will do it, so this guy would do it. So I got a chance to go preach out in Decatur at a small little church, and in preparing for that sermon, I came across this stat that the second leading cause of death for 10 to 14-year-olds is suicide.
What is
this like
Well,
nationwide?
hang on, just what is do we know? So it's the second. What's the first leading cause of death?
It's like accidents, things like that, car wrecks.
So behind
things like
accidents, immediately is suicide.
Right there.
For
yeah.
for how old? What is the age
10
range?
to 14.
My God.
And then the number one for 13 to 14-year-olds is suicide.
Number one
Number one.
for 13 to 14.
Yeah. So this age group, we're losing too many kids. Can you imagine?
That's insane.
A 10-year-old. A 10-year-old.
A 10-year-old.
So hopeless that they end it all. That did not sit well with me.
My heart.
I mean,
literally, it is in my throat. Because I have a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old right now.
Can you imagine, right?
I cannot imagine a circumstance, and I guess that just maybe speaks to my ignorance about what's really going on, because I cannot imagine a set of circumstances that would be so... And, like, do people not see... I mean, how do you not see that? Like... Is it? I mean, I don't know what to look for.
How do the kids not see it?
No,
or
but how do you,
the
as a
adults
parent
not...
or as like a teacher or somebody's? There's got to be. I guess maybe they're just not there. Maybe a parent or a teacher. There's someone that's checked out for whatever reason, and they're just not there seeing anything. And it's got something. So for pain to build up enough to, I imagine, to tip to, I'm going to kill myself because that would be better than this. That's not just a one day.
See, I would think like in adults, you would think it's more mental illness. Right?
Yeah.
But
but not for
this
it to be,
age group, it doesn't feel like that's mental
illness.
Well,
and for it to be the leading cause, and then the second only to accidents, I mean, that's really a big number.
So what did you find as you started, like, digging in?
Yeah, a lot of it's a bullying problem. I mean, if you see in the news, if you look this week in the news, some kid around that age will commit suicide this week because they're being bullied. They don't see a way out. When you're that age, everything's to the extreme, right? It's you can't see...
It's all you know.
A foot farther. You think this is going to be the rest of your life, that you're going to be bullied, you're going to be this person you don't want to be. And a lot of them, they don't know that's the end. They've been playing video games or things like that where, hey, the character always comes back, right?
There's respawn. We're just going to respawn.
Yeah, it'll just happen again. Like... I mean, 10 years old, you don't know what's going on in the world. A lot of them, probably if they could do it over again, they wouldn't make that situation. But that's why
it's so young.
It's so young.
It's really depressing.
So this is 4th, 5th grade. Usually, I think,
That's Nathan in a year.
5th grade.
I have a 9-year-old. He just turned 9.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So okay. So that's I feel it. I can feel the emotion. It makes sense to me that would resonate with you. It would resonate with any person that has feelings. Of course, anybody. So what'd you do?
Started working on this book for one, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. Right. It's in what I do, and like you guys, I'm busy.
Yeah,
I don't have time to do this.
But it was pulling.
If something just gets in your heart, you're like, I can't let it go.
Yeah,
I wanted to. I've got other things going on. I've got a kid of my own. I got all these things going on, a lot of irons in the fire, but I just couldn't shake it. So I decided to write this book. I also started a mentoring program for that same age group, that 10 to 14-year-old group. Just help them to feel a little bit better about themselves. Make them more confident, feel better about their bodies. That's probably an issue too. And just have someone that they can depend on outside of the family, which is so big. Because sometimes you don't want to talk about certain things with your parents, right?
Yeah. They just because what do your parents know? They don't get you. They just don't get you.
Yeah.
So, do you know if it's male, female, like? Is it
how that demo is
right?
Split up?
It's across the board. It's a problem just for that age group. It's boys, it's girls, it's all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
They're all doing it.
Yeah, it's really concerning.
So
really
I'm
concerning.
sure social media.
I don't know where to go with it.
Well, I'm sure social media has a big deal.
Part of it.
So so I think that you talk about this, right? Like, so parents, first off, please don't let your kids have social media at that age. Like, we can barely handle it.
Yeah.
Right? Like.
Yeah. So you're talking about like kids that are like 10 years old.
Yeah, my kids
have
been dying to get on. Now, their social media experience right now is probably limited to maybe Roblox chat. But still, like, that can get rough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not the same as like you having your feed filled with, you know, like influencers that are just like unrelatably perfect in the image that they're portraying and the lifestyle that they're portraying, and then like contrasting that and comparing oneself to that, it can be
very
that's a big part of the issue, is that comparison trap. The kids get into. They see this huge muscular guy. A lot of kids are doing steroids
dude. I was at my gym. Okay, I go in the sauna. I'm a pretty big guy. Okay, I've been lifting. This is my 5th year. I did the math. 5 years. And nothing compared to what steroids could do for a person. I'm in the sauna, though, and I'm sitting there, and these guys are probably 19, 20, maybe 21, and they're kind of jacked, and we're just, like, talking, and one of them makes a joke about steroids, something steroids, and I'm like, so, are you doing steroids? And everyone got all uncomfortable. I was like, look, I like, this is not my body. It's your body. If you want to do steroids, if you want to do that, like, I recommend you become educated and make smart decisions. I think it's dangerous. I think it's risky, but I'm not going to, like, judge you. That's up to you. But every single one of them some of them on multiple kinds, because there's like different kinds of steroids, and but all of them were taking steroids. One of them was even like, oh yeah, no, I started slow. I did. He said he did 300 milligrams a test a week, and I'm like, 300 milligrams TRT for some. I mean, it depends on person to person, of course, but replacement therapy is like 150 milligrams for like someone in their 40s and 50s, right? So
wow, and he probably is at one of the highest points of his life with the natural.
Yeah. And so like,
oh wow,
this was.
Okay,
5?
But that brings up something interesting to me. So
5
me and my
men?
husband, we've been working out, and the kids have been starting to get interested, right? So we do a lot of at-home workouts, and so they have started to participate with us. And my 10-year-old came up and he's like, "Is this going to help me get jacked?" And I was like, "Am I going to get ripped?" And I'm like looking at him, and I was like, "Well." I don't know how to answer this question.
Just say yes. You're going to get jacked.
You're going to get jacked. Exactly.
That's all you need to know. But yeah, that's it. They compared because they see these
expectation
roided up guys on Instagram
who are saying that it's natty. Yeah. They're like, oh no.
Yeah. I don't Google Liver King.
Oh no, not the Liver King. Oh, he's the
this guy just said, oh yeah, I'm eating all these organ meats.
That's
Meanwhile,
what it is.
He's on all the steroids.
Yeah. Right.
So there's people like that they look up to. But they see that, and some of them, I could never be like that. I could never be like that girl. I could never be like that guy.
Yeah.
And they just, that's why I wrote the name of the book is You're Not Who You're Going to Be. Because at that age, I coach middle school football. I've been coaching that for 15 years. You'll have a kid that's 180 pounds, and he is jacked. And he has a mustache, and he's 13 years old.
Yeah.
And then you got the same kid. He may be 13, 14. He's 4 feet tall, weighs 50 pounds, and his voice sounds like a squeaky balloon.
Yeah.
They're the same age.
It varies so much.
I could never be the mustache guy.
Yeah.
So why would I ever keep going? But you don't know. You have so much in your future ahead of you.
Yeah.
My son at that age was really tall, right? Coordination did not come with that.
Yeah.
Right? So he was told, hey, maybe you should try other sports, or maybe this isn't for you. He was told that by coaches and things like that. And compared to other kids who were super coordinated at that age, he couldn't keep up. But he kept growing and he kept working, and now he's a Division I athlete, right?
Yeah.
At that time, though, he could easily given up because he couldn't see who you're going to be. You're like, oh, I'm not as good as that kid, so I might as well quit. Or even in school, in class, you see the smartest of the smart kids. Oh, I'm not as smart as them. I'm not going to study. Why would I study? I could never be that smart. Just that comparison.
When I was in my early preteens, 11, 12, 13, 14, even 15, you may have noticed even today I have gentle features. Let's call them gentle features. Without a beard, they are yet even more gentle. And as a young man, gentle is the best way. You look like a chick. No,
you're pretty.
I'm
pretty. Is
pretty.
that what you're trying to say?
Well, the thing is, when you're a young man and you sound like a girl, and I was a chubby kid. Okay, so I had even more. It was just hard to. You couldn't tell for sure.
Oh God, I want a
was
picture.
Mistaken.
I want a childhood picture.
I was mistaken
up right now.
I was mistaken for being a girl several times. One time by a cop. My mom got pulled over, and he's standing there, and he's like, "You cut that person off in traffic." He's chewing her out because mom made a turn and it was tight, and he's he looks at her and looks in the passenger front seat, and he's like, "Your daughter could have died."
Oh no!
And I'm sitting there I'm a man. But all of that to say is exactly, you don't know. And now it's great because I have this I look,
what? When was the last time you got mistaken for a lady?
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all. And it helps doing things like growing a beard. So when that's available, grow that beard. But it's just my point is that you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And if I had hypothetically didn't have that kind of support that I had and the kind of communication that I had, and it definitely hurt. My feelings were hurt by that. Who knows? I mean, I could have been
at that age, man. Everything feels like the end of the world.
It does.
You just, oh my gosh, and you feel stuck. I'm just always.
And you
want to
be this other thing, and
I want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I want to be like this big dude, this man. And I want you're getting interested as a boy that's interested in girls, getting interested in girls, and girls, in my mind, want this dude, this big dude, and I'm not that dude, and so this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
And so I could see how that could lead those kind. I'm getting emotional. I can feel it. Those kind of thoughts could add up, and if no one's there to break that feeling, it could spiral.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Totally.
If you're a parent, stay connected with your kids.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us get checked out. Hey, I get it, man. We're busy. We have a lot going on, and we're on our phones too, right? Let's just admit it. We're on.
And
our
sometimes
phones.
I will have to admit, it is easy to let them zone off into their world. They are not bothering me.
Yeah.
I'm getting stuff done.
It's quiet. Yeah.
They're not fighting. As soon as I take them off,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
but we can't just do that. That's the thing. Is like I'm right there with you because like it's so easy. Like just go play Minecraft, like go chill and go Roblox or whatever, and like I can chill. Like even if I'm not getting work done, like I just want to chill out and like relax without having to be in service to someone else all the time. But it's also like when that happens, like okay, that's okay some. That's okay some. It's overindulging.
Yeah, it's when it's the norm. That's just what you're like all day, every day. That's it. But we all do that, man. We all check out.
Of course.
We just want to be.
We need that. We need a little bit of that.
And sometimes you don't like your kids. Let's just admit it. You don't like your
we
kids.
need to get away. It's not that we don't like them.
You still
we
love
just
them.
need a moment.
I never liked
We
Dana's
need
kids.
the mommy. My kids are freaking amazing.
Yeah. You'll always love them, but man,
moment.
you just need a moment from these kids, man, because you just need to depress.
And that's okay.
So how do we do healthy limits?
I think you got to have some kind of limits. Like parents just kind of, here's this phone that an adult has no control over, no self-control over. Here, 10-year-old, go sick, you know? For one thing, I'll put Bark on there. One of those monitoring apps is huge. When my son was in middle school, it saved us from a lot of things. You can put filters on there and say, hey, there's profanity, drugs, alcohol, bullying, sexual stuff, any of that, and you get an alert that's on your kid's phone. So,
nice. Bark. Okay, I wasn't
Does
familiar.
that go for iPads too?
Oh, yeah, it's anything
probably,
on there.
I need that.
It monitors social media accounts, emails,
Nice.
text, all that stuff. So
Will do. Okay, good.
Okay.
Bark.
Bark.
Like a dog, like bark.
yeah, so you have a son, right?
Yeah.
If your son,
She's got two.
you got two. Your son gets a text message from a girl, an inappropriate text of some kind of picture or something. He gets expelled if it's on his phone. He didn't ask for that. He didn't put it on there. She texted it to him. They find it on his phone. He gets expelled. We almost ran into that. It got alerted us that, hey, girl sent your son this, and we could handle it. But if you don't know...
So does it not send it through? It comes to you first?
No,
if
it's just got alerted that, hey, this is on his phone.
Yeah. Well, what it does is, I don't know, but my understanding is it keeps you connected. So that way stuff's not going under the radar.
Yeah.
So there's no time for that big buildup. And so there's a balance there for sure of like, okay, how do I respect privacy? How do I allow maturity and responsibility? And at the same time, how do I not be... I think you got to talk to your kids.
We don't have phones. So my 10 and 12-year-old do not have phones. They have Apple Watches.
My 7 and 9-year-old have phones.
They do not have phones. They have an Apple Watch, because there are times that we need to be able to get a hold of them and call them. Yeah. And I think a lot of times parents are like, well, how old? My older kids, they had them when they were 10. We gave them phones because they were going back and forth between our house and their
that's
other
when my
parents.
son got one, yep.
But they didn't have the Apple Watch then. But they can make phone calls and they can text me, but they can't get on social media.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a terrible parent. They're like, my kids have phones so they can contact us. I'm like, we got them phones. Well, they were like downgraded from ours, right? But they got phones so we could all play Pokemon Go together.
No, I love it.
Hey, it's active. It's a family activity. I'm in.
At least, yeah, exactly.
They do the iPad.
They don't have the service plans or anything like that, so they can only like text and They can text and FaceTime, and they've learned how to text and FaceTime. We've saved ourselves in there. And then recently, so there's like a child care zone at the gym. And I was like kind of uncomfortable, like, I don't know, whatever. I'm just not, and so I was like, okay, here, we'll set this up so Penny could text me when she's in, and I'm at the gym. I'm just right there in the same building, but, I'm working out, listening to music, and she's over here, and who knows? And that was nice. That was really good, being able to just have that.
It feels good to be connected to them.
But they're sure not on social media. I mean, I don't really know how to do, I haven't crossed that bridge yet. I don't know. When I'm
expecting it's what are they on TikTok? What are the
Snapchat? I think is the big one. Social media wise.
Yeah.
So Facebook's all old people. Instagram's a little bit older. I guess Snapchat's kind of the younger folks thing.
What do you spend your most time on? It tells your age, right? We can tell if you're a boomer or.
Yeah. Look at me, man. You know I'm Facebook. But man, if you've already let that cat out of the bag, like a lot of us have, you got to set down those ground rules. At night, get that phone out of their room. Yeah, I remember my son being in middle school, getting text, social media messages 2, 3 in the morning on a school night. Yeah. And we're wondering why kids are tired in school. They don't want to learn. They're not able to learn, and they're all over the place, and they don't know what they're doing. Well, they didn't sleep but 2 or 3 hours last night. They're on their phone. If it's there, it's a temptation. They're going to use it. They just are. We all are like that.
We have no
willpower. There's no willpower.
There's not.
If it's not in there, though, guess what? They can't get on it. That's a simple thing. There's no reason they need it in there, and there's so many reasons it can hurt them. If you've been paying attention to the news, out in Limestone County, they had, 19 guys that were meeting kids through the internet, underage for sexual reasons. You know? It's dangerous. It's very dangerous. If you're not monitoring those, if they have A lot of kids, they just, hey, here's your phone, go sick. They don't monitor it. They don't stay in contact. Because a lot of them, hey, if you're a single parent, it's tough to work all
Dude,
day,
I can't
keep
even
up with
imagine.
them. I mean, I don't know how people do it.
I can't even imagine, like, if it wasn't me and Jackie, like,
Right.
my mom, how there were 6 of us. And there were dudes. There were dudes, you know, like throughout the years. They did the best
Don't
they could.
tell on Mom.
Yeah. Hey, look,
Don't
Mom,
tell
it's
on
okay.
Mom.
I get it.
Mom, you did great.
We all have to date.
Ish.
It's fine. But it's just like, yeah, ish. No, Mom, you did great. Who are you? Missy, okay. My point is that I just can't imagine a single parent, even with one. I have 2 kids. If something ever were to happen and I was like on my own, like truly, like how some people really are, like, like I have good family support. If I didn't have the family support, didn't have my wife, and was really on my own, like, good God, what do you do? How do
there
you?
was 2 of us for 1 kid. We barely made it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so much.
I was
it's
a
so
single
much.
mom.
Yeah,
I
it's a lot.
definitely lived the single mom life.
It's so
and
much.
it
I don't know
really
how
was
people
hard.
do it. So I get it, man. There's so much in the day that can go wrong.
Yeah.
You just do the best you can.
Yeah.
But a lot of people.
Well, maybe we can help. Like, I mean, like, I'm getting like when you said like I'm getting like mentor vibes. Like maybe that's something that I got a full plate, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
So tell us more about the mentor program.
Yeah. So I started that. So what do I do? I'm a fitness guy, right? That's what I do by trade. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but I know how to work with that age group. Fitness is my background, so I kind of put those together. We do 30-minute one-on-one sessions. You come in, workouts kind of on the front end. No kid wants, you know what, I want to be mentored. Can someone mentor me? No, they don't like that term, right? So, but I thought about when my son was that age, we would do something if we wanted to talk about something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe go shoot the basketball around or throw a football or go for a drive where it's not like a 1950s Leave It to Beaver, eye-to-eye talk where it's awkward. Some awkward things can come up, and it's not quite as bad where we can talk about things. So it's kind of fitness on the end, just to kind of get them to open up and be doing an activity. So it could be anything. You could teach them how to do what you do, right? And it should be a mentoring thing. It's just showing kids that you care and listening to them. That's like 90% of what I do.
Yeah. Spend time.
Yeah.
They measure it in time.
Listening,
really like showing up
like,
and spending time.
Not just. Well, this is how you should be, right?
Yeah.
Like this is what
Jeez,
you should be thinking.
When you said
about.
that, I had mixed feelings.
Yeah, I thought you were in trouble for that.
I know.
Man, I got a little worried.
She gave me the single mom look. I was like,
Yeah.
oh God.
I was like, oh no.
Right.
So okay, well, so the balance, right? So this episode we're talking a lot about STEM in youth, but here we are talking about limiting technology. So what's the balance look like?
We had hours, a certain amount of hours set per day is what we were at, and we've like gone back and forth with it. Now we front load all of the responsibilities, any kind of chores, any kind of homeschooling, anything that needs to be done has to happen before we can move on to that. And then I just kind of play it by ear. Like if it's been a while and I've walked through this room a couple times and they're still going on and I've done some other stuff, then I'll pull the plug on. Now they're still young, so I can still play like rah, 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 without them being like too much like it doesn't make sense. This is completely arbitrary. How are you measuring this? And at some point they will. But like for now, that's what I've been doing, and that works okay. That works okay. And I try when I do it when I'm like, okay, guys, it's been a while. I try to like use phrasing like how long have you been playing video games? Don't you think it might be time for a break from that? Let's do something else. Anything you want except for media, just for a little while, and then you can go back. It's all good, right? Like keep it pretty.
Yeah, technology is not going anywhere. It's only going to get worse from here, right? It's putting that structure, some balance in there with other activities, getting outside, being face-to-face with other kids. That's the biggest thing. They've done a study that those kids, 10 to 14-year-old, half of them report being lonely. Like very, very lonely. They have all these connections online. They have 1,000 friends online. Nobody sit with at lunch, right? And no one to go play with in the neighborhood or things like that. So I know it sounds ridiculous, but you might need to set up a play date for a 10 to 14-year-old. And we had to force my son to go have fun every now and then.
I
heard somebody talking the other day about
what do you want? You want a high five? Sorry, hand over there.
Business cards. They were passing
business cards
for play dates.
Yeah,
and it had like the parents' information and also like the Roblox account number.
That's
like
genius.
their but
that's so much easier because so right now, and I thought about doing this is amazing. This is perfect because I thought about that because what I taught the kids was we go to a playground and we want to play with other kids and we're running around having a good time and then it's time to go and they're like it's time to go and you may never see this person again.
Right. Yeah.
And for them, they're like my son still talks about Jack, this little boy he met like 7 years
playground,
ago at a
was it?
playground
Yeah.
one time, and it's like one of his best friends. They played together for like 24 minutes, and but it was meaningful. And so what I do at this time, but business cards is a better
That's
idea.
how much the connection mattered.
I want-
24 minutes and
It
then
does.
playing.
It
Heck of a play date right
my
there.
my son has learned that like if he meets someone and they're having a good time, he pulls me over and he says, "Dad, can we do like the information?" And then I gotta awkwardly walk up and I'm like, "Hey, look, our kids are playing together, so like let's just I'll Facebook you and we could like chat, and next time we go and play at whatever park, if you want, I can shoot you a text. Is that cool?"
Yeah.
I don't
And,
know.
like,
that feels a little bit
I know.
forward.
Well, and
I don't think
sometimes-
I could do it.
I try to be. Yeah, I try
It's
to,
easier as a mom than a dude
Yeah,
at
exactly,
a park. I know
exactly.
that.
Oh, true.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you
Yeah,
walk
you're walking
up to
some
the
girl-
mom and you're like,
It's
so
a little worse.
Yeah,
just was,
yeah.
could I get your number?
Here's some dude skeezing on me, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Take my information.
But
and
here's
text
my
me.
kid's play date
Business card.
Business card.
Yeah.
So getting them in front, I like that, and it's hard because then I'm also like the kids will want to go play with kids in the neighborhood, but I don't know what that environment's like.
Right.
True.
Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I actually prefer for them to invite kids to our house,
Mm-hmm.
and I really do want to be the house that's known
great.
to have
Yeah.
all the fun.
I mean, it's going to cost you a fortune in food and all that, but man, it's so worth it.
But at least I will
You
be
got
able
eyes
to
on 'em, you know what's
monitor,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
it.
monitoring.
We should have like a coalition of safe houses. Like I'm serious. Like so that that in your neighborhood, these are the houses that we are like definitely approved. These have been vetted. We're
Vetted,
sure
there
that
you go.
nobody's gonna have any weirdness. There's no like bad
Right,
touch
it's
going on.
hard.
There's no like, okay, I just want to go hang out and play, and like they're sitting down for like a bunch of Call of Duty sessions and like eating sleeves
Right.
of Oreos.
So like we don't
It's
even
like-
allow the kids to be in the room. So obviously my husband plays Call of Duty, right? Like age group, right?
What do you say? I don't play all of. I don't play.
You mentioned it earlier.
I don't play
Not
Call
in
of
this
Duty.
episode. But we don't even let the kids be in the room
Yeah.
when he's playing
That's
that.
probably for the best, man.
Right?
That's a little rough
Like,
right there.
Yeah.
It
It's
is.
intense.
It's
It's-
intense.
it's- yeah.
But they've got all their friends are already playing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, why can't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough one right
Boundaries.
there. That's, I mean, hey, I thought we told our, we just don't do that at our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the final. There's no negotiation with a 10-year-old, right?
No.
Yeah.
We don't negotiate. We don't
Yeah.
negotiate with terrorists.
No, we don't.
14-year-olds,
Exactly.
right? I mean,
Terrorists,
sometimes you just have to
14-year-olds.
lay down the law and then, hey, man, I don't have a better reason. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, so just like a bit, it's a hard no. Like we don't play
boundaries.
first-person shooters. We don't do it. We don't do it either. We'll do like swords and bows, and like I'm kind of okay with that sort of thing as long as there's no graphic violence. Like I don't want to see like. There's no blood, no gore, nothing like that.
It's hard.
Beat the monster and.
Plus,
poof,
I don't
right?
I don't play video games, so I actually don't really know a lot about some of the things that they're playing.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think actually sitting down and watching what they're playing is probably a good idea. I typically just, I'm like, Chris, you just handle it. Is that appropriate for them to play? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it does bring up a good point, though. But if they're interested in something, so are you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. I played a lot of Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah. Not my bit. I always lost. I don't know how every time I lost. Somehow he has the best cards every time. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but he likes it, so I love it, right? And these
Yeah.
kids that I work with, same thing. What are you interested in? Let's talk about that.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. Just showing interest, and then like, oh, if they really care about me. That just shows how you care. Spending time with them, showing an interest in them, and they're not, especially if they're, kind of a gamer or kind of a bookworm, like, oh, it's okay, Mom and Dad think it's cool that I'm doing this. It's fine. I'm not a dork like that guy told me at lunch today.
Yeah.
That it's okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
that
we
piece
talked
right
about
there is like, for a second, like the bullying thing. So I have like basically just want to like punch little kids in the face for being bullied.
That doesn't
And I
sound
know
like
that
a bully
doesn't-
at all,
That
Lucas.
doesn't solve. Okay, bullies are heroes. Okay, they're not heroes, but I'm just saying. Okay, emotionally as a parent, when I see behavior that pushes beyond even negative bullying, like name calling, but beyond that, like pushes beyond that physical barrier in a negative, violent, physical way, that is very triggering for me and is not cool. It's not cool. But I don't know what.
How do you?
I can't beat up someone's kids.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. I don't want to beat up someone's
Yeah.
kids.
What is the advice?
I just want them to stop. And then, but like, okay, what about my kids? Okay, so is my son just supposed to do nothing? My son's. He's a pretty tall kid. He's a pretty big kid. He's a pretty tough kid.
But you
he
don't
could
wanna
defend
teach
himself.
him-
But I don't want to teach him to hit people or hit anyone. We don't hit in our family. We don't lay hands. You don't lay hands. That's not how you solve problems. If you
When
lay
does
hands,
that work?
that's escalating. But what do we do?
So get this. My 10-year-old, he was getting out of the car. He was acting. He loves school. My kids love to go to school, and he was like, him and Han. He didn't want to get in the car. He didn't want to go to school, and we get there, and he's like acting all depressed, right? And I'm like, what is going on with you? Something's different. What is wrong? And finally, he was like, I just feel kind of like I'm being bullied, and it's a girl that is bullying him.
How old is he?
10.
They can be bigger, much bigger at that age.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, and I don't know what to say to her. Right? And he also does not want to be the tattletale.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
So-
that's been the
so
advice.
what do you do?
The advice has been, like, tell me. If someone's, like, pushing you around, tell me. If someone's pushing you around, tell the teacher. Okay, well, culturally, there's a negative stigma with being a tattletale. It just is, okay? And if this is more than just
Snitches
like
get stitches.
and it's true
And
in
it
school.
rhymes. If it rhymes,
if it
you know
rhymes,
it's
it's
good.
a
It's
fact.
stuck.
Exactly. So what do? I don't know. If someone lays hands, you must defend yourself, okay? You must defend yourself. That's how I feel about
I
it. But
don't think that that's what the school wants you to say.
that's not what the school wants you to say. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know what. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
you both
Like,
kind of get thrown out of school these
Then you
days
both
for
get in
that,
trouble.
unfortunately. Some guy told me advice one time, make it awkward.
Make it awkward.
The bully does not want you confronting him and making it super awkward. Like, why are you treating me like this? Like, asking these really pointed, awkward questions.
Yeah.
And it just, sometimes they'll just throw them off balance enough to be like, what?
That's so great.
They want an easy victim. Most bullies, they want an easy victim that's
Yeah.
just going to kind of take it or give them some kind of reaction.
Yeah.
A lot of them, that's what they're looking for, the verbal ones.
Yeah.
They want you to throw your hands up and run around and cry and all these things. But if you can just turn around on them and start making it, well, why you treat me like this?
Yeah, what
Make
happened?
it super.
Did something
Nobody wants to.
weird happen at home today?
Yeah.
Oh.
What's wrong?
Ooh, stick it to him hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, fine. Let's analyze a bully.
I have advice for him now. This
Yeah.
is
I mean,
bullying
role
is-
play with your kids on stuff like this. It's weird. I know it sounds weird, but if you can make it awkward for the bully, a lot of times it's going to make him go find someone else. Which fortunately, it's not going to solve the bullying
Doesn't solve
problem.
it, but it solves it for your personal
kid.
experience. So we just need a bunch of awkward kids. All the kids at school are just
I
super
think my
awkward.
kids could embrace awkward.
They could embrace awkward. I kind of like that, like your psychological positioning on it, Dana. And I don't know if that would escalate the situation or make it so uncomfortable that a child who is bullying wouldn't know what to do or to deal with it. But to be like, hey, what's going on? Did something happen to you that you're acting this way? Like, flip that on
Right.
them.
And-
Now, I don't know that an 8, 10, 12-year-old would know or be able to process that, or if that would maybe like inflame it further. Now you have something else, but yeah.
I like it. At least it's something. It is something that you can confidently tell them. It's not hitting back. It's not running and crying. It's not tattletaling. It's just kind of
Why
facing it
do I
head on.
so badly want to recommend punching a bully? It's because
That's
I'm
the old
angry
school
about
advice,
it.
man. I wish
I'm angry about it
because that does work, man.
Yeah,
It's an unfortunate truth in it, but you got to get creative with it nowadays and just
and
and
I
role
don't-
play with your kids, like I said.
I don't want them getting comfortable hitting people. That's not the idea. But I just, it's almost like I want it to be like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know
We
what to do
raised
with
our
it.
son the same way. Like someone puts their hands on you,
Defend yourself.
Then you defend yourself.
You defend yourself. You need to take this and you need to end that fight very, very quickly. Okay, and you end that fight quickly by getting out of the way of those hits, and you slug that person really hard in the face and get back.
Okay, I want you to imagine that you've just told Penny this.
I'm not. I don't tell them this.
She
I
is
just
like
want to, and I don't.
tiny little 6-year-old
Are you kidding
girl.
me? Penny would lay someone out. She would lay someone out like a cat.
So my son was little. We put him in jujitsu, which you can kind of incapacitate someone without hurting them. Kind of put them in a way that you're not going to hurt them.
Yeah, go to sleep. Just
you don't want to choke
So
a
the
kid out.
long
like a
limbs
third.
helped with that?
Or just redirecting.
I mean, he could just put his arm out and keep kids away from him.
Yeah.
But I just want him to be able to defend himself without
Yeah.
anybody getting hurt.
Yeah.
You know? So that, and then you just martial arts is great for that because the kids have the confidence in themselves, even if they don't do anything, ever use it. Just having that. Most kids that are confident are not going to be the bully.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think just having that piece, like knowing that you can defend yourself, probably gives you energetically, I imagine, that air about you. I mean, the bully is definitely looking for that compatibility. Like, I want somebody who is going to start.
Did you find that it helped him?
Yeah, he never had any problem, but he's always a pretty big kid, pretty nice. I mean, he was always a pretty. I mean, he got some bully like almost everyone's getting a bully.
Jerks,
right?
Yeah. Like, there's jerks
Someone's
everywhere.
Verbal and
name
there's
call, but
I mean, the thing now is like the online bullying is
Yeah.
a huge thing because when we were growing up at 3:00, the bullying was over.
Right.
You got to do it
And
again
you had a
tomorrow,
safe zone.
dadgummit. But now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a
And
year.
it's so much nastier. People can say things through a text form that you would never say to someone's face.
And you have time to really think it through, really like make sure it cuts as deep as possible.
And then you can read it over and over again as the recipient and just sit there and like internalize it.
There's some kid in Delaware bullying. You've never met this kid.
Right.
Jeez.
And
it's awful. And then you think the whole world's against you. That's what's leading to a lot of these problems with suicides. It feels like the whole world's against you because on social media, these hundreds of kids could be bullying you at once. You just feel worthless.
So the big theme of resilience, that comes up a lot. So like, what do you think is at the root of that? Is that really open conversations? Is that like what pushes a kid into like, we're going to help you be resilient without having to...
I think a lot of it's
duke it out.
I know. I feel shame about it, and I haven't. To be very clear, I have not told my children to hit other children. But I'm just analyzing internally that I want to. And whenever I hear about bullying or possible bullying situations, I feel triggered, and that's the first thing that enters my mind. That is not what I coach to, but that's what I feel.
It wasn't directed at you. But let Joe answer.
That was my first thing too. Like, just punch him in the face, man. I mean, I think most dads are like that, but then you both get thrown out of school. No problems are solved. So just find creative ways.
But to Dana's point, so what do you?
The resilient part is I just define it as teaching kids to bounce back from hard situations. Which for number one is back to the open lines of communication. Did you actually know something's going on with your kid, and you're gonna sit down and talk to him? Like, this isn't the end. That's a big message of this book. This is not the end. I know it seems like the end of the world. When you're in middle school and maybe your boyfriend breaks up with you the first time, your girlfriend, it feels like the end of the world, right? And it's like, but then a month from now, will this matter? That's a good thing to ask your kids. Like, will this matter next week, a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now? Because they can't think that far.
No, they don't know.
Just helping them realize that that's okay, and then helping them not doing things for them. I see a lot of parents doing that. You'll hear about helicopter parents right now going on job interviews with their kids.
It's real bad.
Sorry, man. That raised the temperature in the room right there. Like,
what?
If you always do it for them, they can't ever do it for themselves. If you've ever seen a little kid try to pour a glass of milk, that's a shady
it's
situation.
It's excruciating, but you've got to let them
Eventually,
do it.
they're going to be old enough and strong enough to do it on their own. But if you're always pouring that kid's milk, he's never going to learn how to pour milk. So that's an extreme example. But a lot of these kids, parents are writing papers for their kids. They don't want them to fail, so they're writing papers for them. If you're doing it for them, you're crippling your kids. That's a huge part. And they're never going to have any confidence in themselves because they've never done anything. How you get confident is you could accomplish something you weren't too sure you could do it. If you stretch it out a little bit. So you give them these kind of things that maybe you can pull that C up to a B. I'm not telling you to get straight A's. Can you take this C and get a B? And they're like, oh, I did that. Maybe I could take that B to an A. But these little things in there that can help them build resilience that they're, maybe I'm not a failure. Maybe I can do hard things. Just teaching them that you're more capable than you think. You're stronger than you think. Because a lot of these kids don't know that about themselves because they never had the opportunity.
They didn't. Like, they go off to college and they've never washed their own clothes. They've never cooked their own meal. They've never been responsible for their own money. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, they're gone. They're in college.
Congratulations, you're an adult now.
Like, yes, my kids have debit cards that now we do keep it pretty locked down, but we let them do their things. As a coach of a lot of parents with toddlers, and I find that yes, it's very strong with toddlers. It's all the way up. Boundaries. When a boundary shifts, suddenly this one shifted, so now I need to test every other boundary because I know this one shifted, so I'm going to test them all, right? And so while it does not make you their best friend, you are their parent.
Yep.
And it is important, your job is to show them where those boundaries are. And I see this again and again and again. So like you were talking about the unmonitored screen time. So my kids know that 5 o'clock is when we have to be off of the time because I'm coming off of work, but sometimes I'm going a little bit over and I'm still in my office. If I come downstairs and it is 5:15 and I did not yell from upstairs, make sure you get off your video games. The new rule is if I come downstairs and you're still on it, You will not get it tomorrow.
Ooh, that's tough.
Not worth the,
So guess
not
what
worth the roll.
happened?
They listen for the stairs. That's what's
the
going
long
on.
run.
But what happened, so we had a couple of tough implementation days where I had to hold to it. And I felt terrible. I felt bad. I was like, oh, am I like overdoing this? Like, am I the mean one here? And,
yes.
But guess what happened?
No, not
Both
really.
things can be right. You're doing what you're supposed to, and you're being mean.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's
okay.
And guess
It's
what?
part of the deal.
They started
Now they-
monitoring
yeah,
it.
now they-
And it was like, if you haven't done the dishes, you haven't done all these things, guess what? You don't have screen time at all tomorrow.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I do feel like screen time seems to be our only punishment.
Well,
it works.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like all we've got. I'm like, I don't spank. There's really nothing else that they
hit 'em where it
have that I
hurts
can
with the
take
screen
away.
time, man. Yeah.
It's straight to, well, you're gonna lose video games tomorrow. So
whatever.
Okay,
works.
so how can people? Okay, so people need to check out the book. Okay, where do people find the book? Yeah. hold
Yeah,
it up.
tell
Where
us.
do people
Look how
find
good
the book?
that cover looks right.
let's get some
Wow,
shots of
nice,
you,
beautiful.
like
Da-da-da-da-da.
You can-
modeling.
available on Amazon if you're in Huntsville.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have a traveling library. If you ever
Nice.
see me out in traffic, I have some in the back of my truck. But Amazon's probably the easiest place to find that. You're not who you're going to be. My name is Joe Martin, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, just like chapter 13, preparing for adolescence, body changes.
Batten
Last
down the
week.
hatches. That was a parenthesis. Batten down the hatches, man. It's
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
rough. So the
Yeah.
book is written to work as a whole, but it's got individual chapters. If you just want to say go in the chapter on bullying, if you just want to check that out, or if you
Yeah.
want to check
So
it
it
out,
can stand alone.
yeah, they all work together. But there's also and so you can go back and reference things as well. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I absolutely love it. All right, well, tell us what is, like, if there was one big takeaway that you really wanted to, like, let the Rocket City know, what would that be?
I'm going to my camera on this one.
Go to your camera.
Here it is. If you're a parent, let your kids fail. We talked about it earlier. Don't do it for them. They have to fail. You can do it age appropriately, but you have to let them experience failure, and that it's not the end of the world. That gets back to their resilience, building their confidence. It all kind of rolls together. But if you always do it for them, they'll never learn. They'll never grow. They'll never be who they're meant to be. So let them fail. Let them fail over and over again. Pick themselves back up. They're not breakable. They're going to be okay. And help them along the way. Don't do it for them, but you can help them, assist them, and be with them. Just don't do it for them.
God, I love it. And you know what else? Let them see you fail.
Oh, that's huge.
And what happens when you pick yourself back up? Like, be
Yeah.
the example. Don't hide it from them. I had a client one time, and they hid every argument that they ever had from their kid. And I was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want them to feel, stress about it. I'm like, they need to see that, and then they need to see the
Resolution,
recovery,
yeah,
the
yeah.
resolution. So
That's a great tip, because if you want your kids to do something, you better model it.
Yeah.
Whatever
You
it is,
better
whatever
model
tip
it.
we talked about today, if you're not modeling in it and you're telling them to do it, they're not going to listen.
Yep.
Yeah.
My son was little. I wanted him to eat vegetables. So I was telling him, hey, man, you better eat your vegetables. Meanwhile, I wasn't eating vegetables.
Yep.
And he knew that.
Yeah.
So I figured, I said, I better start eating vegetables. Guess what? So did he. My words meant nothing. I ain't eating those things. You're
Yeah.
not eating them. But when I started eating together, it's if you want them to do it, you better model it.
I love it. Well, Joe, you are amazing. You're a wealth of information. Everyone get a copy. And thank you for coming out.
Thanks
so
for
much.
coming out, man.
Appreciate you
Bye,
having
Rocket
me, man.
City.
Appreciate it.
We also spoke with Alicia, a licensed professional counselor who's worked with kids of all ages. She's sharing the subtle signs that kids might be struggling, when it's time to get professional help, and how to create a space for those crucial conversations with your child.
The moment for me that made it clear that suicide in children is such a big problem and something that we need to start addressing more and more was when I had a client who did try to overdose. They took a lot of medicine. They also engaged in self-harm behaviors. And I got a phone call from their parents. We were all very worried. I went to the hospital. We were all at the hospital. Luckily, that child did not die. And after that, the first session that we had in my office afterwards was her crying over and over again, saying, thank God I didn't die. My goals are to help kids work through these hard years in their life. My name's Alicia Chapin. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I practice here in Huntsville, Alabama. I've been working with kids for the past 18 years. The last 12 years have been in private practice, but for the years before that, I was working with kids in a school setting, in a hospital setting, in their homes, in foster care settings. When I think about the early signs of any kind of emotional disturbances with kids in that age range, if they're sad for 2 or more weeks, severe mood swings, being unusually irritable, trouble sleeping, new trouble in school, like a lot of big changes are often signs that something's going on, especially if the changes are negative in some way. They're losing a lot of weight, changing their eating habits, and it doesn't make sense. Any out of control behavior, high risk behaviors. It's a lot of things that a lot of kids do, but when you combine them, and especially if there's multiple of those at the same time and it's lasting for more than a couple of weeks, then we're really starting to get worried about that child. Creating a safe space in the home is really the most important first action you can take, even to be proactive. The way that I definitely try to talk to parents to do that is definitely starting with just promote mental health in the house, right? So like make sure as parents, we're talking about our feelings. We're acknowledging, wow, I was really frustrated about this, and here's what I did. Definitely verbalizing our own feelings and acknowledging them, but also saying like, here's how I handled it. Having a strong relationship with your child positively, right? Not punishing them if they have negative emotions, and making sure that you're teaching them acceptance and that you'll acknowledge and validate their feelings. Tell them like, it's okay, you can come to me with whatever, and then actually trust you is what's going to create that safe space. So you being consistency with your rules, your expectations, and all those things, boundaries, they're going to trust you more. And that's what that safe space would be. When it's time to talk to a professional, obviously, if there's any self-harm or suicidal ideations, immediately. You want to be proactive and try to get to it before something like that starts happening. You're listening for some of those early signs, and you're asking those questions. Do you feel like it would be better to talk to someone? Sometimes they'll tell you, yeah, that actually would be nice. It's how much is it affecting the child, the symptoms that they're experiencing, and then, do you feel like you have what you need at home to help them? And if you don't, then that's when you have to be able to own it and say, let's go get help. So when I think about practical strategies for parents, keeping it simple is just be open-ended with them when you're asking them questions. Give them space to talk. Really just kind of be an open and non-judgmental. Sometimes kids, they just need you to take a drive with them. They don't want to look at you eye to eye most of the time when they're talking about feelings. They feel awkward sometimes about it. Ask them, oh, well, tell me more about that. Or, I wonder how that makes you feel. Questions that don't feel so like, well, why did you do that? Being able to be very calm and non-emotional as a parent is the best way that you can communicate with them. If you're in a position where you need help or your child needs help immediately, there's Wellstone Behavioral Center, which does have an emergency contact that you can contact there, and they have walk-in hours. And then we also have Decatur General West, which is the inpatient unit. If your child is actively suicidal and self-harming, they need to go to the ER, and then they would determine what the best course of action is there, and also give you some resources on who to call if you weren't going to go inpatient. And so if your child comes to you, or if you decide that you want to seek mental health and it's non-emergent, from there, you could ask around, definitely. But our center especially will absolutely give you other names if we can't take a client. Don't be afraid to call. You're not a bad parent because you need to seek help for your child. You're a great parent because you're noticing what's going on with your child, and you're willing to say, this is not my expertise. Someone else can help you a little bit better than I can. And we can all work as a team as well. It's not that you're dropping your child off and saying, bye, good luck with your depression. You're actually saying, like, let's work as a team. What can I do at home to make things better as well when you take that step?
One of the most important resources for families facing mental health challenges is having someone to turn to, especially in a crisis. We just don't know where to go. So we wanted to go straight to the stores for support. So we spoke with the response manager of the Wellstone Children's Mental Health Hotline. This hotline is available 24/7, and we're really excited to share more about how they're helping children, teens, and families right here in the Rocket City.
Hi, my name is Lauren Mitchell, and I am the Children and Adolescent Crisis Supervisor at Wellstone Incorporated. We actually have a children's mobile crisis team, and it is a 24-hour, 365 days a year crisis hotline that anyone can call if they feel that their child is in crisis. If they're under 14, we will ask for a guardian before they're able to speak with that child over the phone. If they're 14 and over, they can call the hotline. There are 2 different crisis lines, starting at ages 3, so 3 through 18. If they are in DHR custody or anything of that nature, then it goes up to 21. What any parent or child, if they're 14 and over, can expect if they call the hotline is they can expect to be asked their name, phone number, address, because we would need an address to know where we need to respond to, and a brief nature of what the crisis is. So a brief nature of kind of what's going on, what concerns they have with that child. If you're not sure that if you should call the crisis lines or not, I will say just still call. That would be the bottom line. Just still call, and someone will direct you to the right area, even if it's not us, even if it's something else that you're needing, another resource besides us. Just still call. Somebody will assist you guys. I don't want you to question it and not get the answers that you need.
It really is reassuring to know that there are people like the Wellstone team out there ready to help at literally any moment. If you're facing a tough time or if you just need to talk, remember that Wellstone's Children's Mental Health Hotline is available 24/7 all the time. 256-947-4013.
Yeah, and even just knowing that this resource exists is so powerful. It's kind of new to our area. So if we can help even one teen or one family take that first step, it's worth it. And we really want to say thank you to the Wellstone team for all that you're doing. There's also an
Yes.
adult hotline.
Yes, yes. Thank you to the Wellstone team for everything you're doing. And also thank you to our viewers for watching. Please drop a comment. What's the best advice that you've ever heard about raising confident kids? It all starts with building that confidence. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. Make sure to join us next week where we're going to have a very special episode. We're going to be honoring Huntsville veterans. We're diving into what's life really like once you leave the service. What do they truly need? How can we show our gratitude? It's a Veterans Day tribute dedicated to those who served, and you won't want to miss it. So see you then.